Hey, let me first start by saying thank you to everyone that joined us on our last live stream last Friday night, 8 p.m. Wow. What a fantastic time. I think we almost had like 30 people at our friend Jay's house. We were off site for this live stream at Jay's personal bar at his house. There was close to 30 folks there. It was a great time, and Trenton, you just rose to the occasion and you stepped above that. I mean, when I walked up to the bar, I saw 6 glasses in the blind, and I was like, oh, 6.
You're usually like max 5 usually.
I know, that's usually.
I went outside the bounds though.
You did, but somehow he came up with 6, and he forgot one, but he came up with 6 different wild turkey Dusties.
You're lucky I didn't have the other one.
That I never even had. And I'll be honest with you, on the first one, on the first sip, I had a pretty good idea it was wild turkey.
When you said sour right away, I was like, okay, that was easy.
And then you said you had a special blind for my birthday celebration. My birthday's in February the 9th, so it's still a little bit away, but we celebrated the live stream. So I kind of had a feeling I was going to be, but I would have never guessed they were all Dusties. Would have never, well, all but the one. But
yeah.
It was a great time. So thank you. I just want to say thank you for everybody that joined us on the live stream. Thank you to everybody that helped at Jay's and with all the party and everything. It was a great time. It was a long weekend. So we're trying to hold the fort here. We're trying to keep it upbeat, but it was a long weekend. But I'm greatly appreciative for everything you've done. If you want to see the live stream, you can check back, can't you, Trenton? There's a way on YouTube.
Yeah, if you go to the channel, there's like a live or a live stream or something, like a tab at the top. You can click that and then check it out.
Yeah, so if you want to see it, you can.
Yeah.
All right.
It's 6:30. And after we film we're filming this on Sunday night. When we are done with this, I'm going to go home and lay down. I've had about 8 hours of sleep in the last 2 days, and I'm ready.
Yeah, we had a lot of folks that traveled a good distance, so we went to dinner last night and hung out until pretty late. Yeah, not as late as you guys did. No. I mean, I couldn't do that, but I also had to work Saturday and Sunday too, which wasn't any fun at all. So, all right. I'm pretty excited about this bottle that you brought up here tonight, Trenton. I really am, for a few different reasons. This is a decanter series from James E. Pepper, right? Decanter?
Yeah.
Batch 1?
Yes.
I believe you told me.
And it's cool. I'm glad to see the decanters coming back. I don't know, there's a marketplace if you're producing whiskey or something that you can go and just buy pre-made glass so you don't have to make the molds and everything. I don't think I've ever seen a decanter like this.
No, it's really nice.
It's beautiful. It is.
Yes.
But from what I understand, this is 6-year-old James E. Pepper. It's cask strength. This is a bourbon.
Yeah.
They were a distillery they were like eons ago, back when the TV was still black and white. I don't know what time.
Back when I was a kid.
Were you alive when TV was black and white? I don't know when that was.
I'm sure I was, pal. I'm sure I was.
Okay.
We had a good stretch of years. We didn't even have a TV in the house. Mom and Dad didn't have one for 15 years or so.
I heard there used to be a time where the TV would just like shut off or like they would play the national anthem and it would just go static.
Yes, of course, yes.
It was like striped. It was striped and then it would just go. Yeah, that was it.
I am not old enough to remember. I don't think that was a thing when I was around, but in like 1890 I think is when this distillery was started. I might be a little bit off on the dates, but they shut down in 1967.
Okay.
And they had this specific mash bill that they were using, and then when they reopened, I think it was 2017, this is the same mash bill or the same recipe that they were distilling with in 67.
Well, that's pretty cool. So they just picked it back up again.
Yeah, so there's definitely some cool like historical value in this. Just like, that's cool. Probably the same stuff that they were drinking back in the 60s.
Yeah,
which is neat.
There's 3 reasons that I was really interested in this when you brought it over. One is the beauty of the bottle. I mean, it's really a fantastic look. 2, it's barrel proof, but it's still only 106 proof, so they got a very low entry proof going into their barrels. I like that.
It's like right up your alley for a proof point, really.
I'm not really hip on that 130 proof, so at a barrel proof at 106 proof, pretty good to me. Last but definitely not least is the price point.
Oh yeah,
right.
Price point's fantastic.
I think you told me it's like $65.
$65 or $70, and this isn't in Indiana. They don't distribute this in Indiana, so thank you to the individual B Wall who helped me find this and locate it.
Thank you.
I ended up picking up 2, one for myself and one for you, because I was really excited about it.
Yeah.
And I did kind of buy it a little bit for the packaging, because we went to a store in Michigan probably a couple years ago. I think we were actually at Journeyman, or we were going somewhere over there. And we stopped by this liquor store, and it turns out the guy that owned the liquor store had watched the channel or was a fan of the channel or something. So we went in there, and he recognized you, and then he offered a sample of this James E. Pepper rye store pick that they did.
Oh, okay.
And I think it was cast strength. It was $69.99, like big tall bottle like the E.H. Taylor.
Oh, okay, sure.
And I was excited, because I'm always excited to try new rye, especially when it's cast strength. And I tried it, and I was like, ooh, this is not really that good.
Oh.
And I was bummed, because, you know, he was like, oh, you want to buy a pick? Do you like it? And I was like, no, not really. I don't. I'm sorry.
No.
So
Awkward. That's awkward.
it was, and I hate saying that, but like it was really not good. So James E. Pepper really wasn't on my list of things to look out for. I didn't know if they were still doing releases or not in Indiana, so I was like, okay.
Sure.
But this came out, and I had heard good things about it, and if I'm not mistaken, this made it on Fred Minnick's top 100 of last year.
I'll have to look.
So
I don't remember seeing it on there, but it probably did.
I could be wrong, but if that is the case, and I'm remembering correctly, then that means this was a pretty late release last year. So probably November, December-ish.
Definitely the first time I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So I'm really interested to get started here and see what we got. I've got high hopes.
And I like that they're following a similar, not like a plan or something, as what it seems to be Bardstown is doing with their Origin series. So their 6-year weeded and bottled and bonded stuff is around that $60, $65 price point. Same here.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I'd like to see kind of more of these coming out. So props to Old Pepper there for kind of being another distillery hopping on that bandwagon.
And we talked about that going into this year. I really want to try some bottles that I think are doesn't have to be cheap, but you know, you want to get some good quality for a fair price. That's what I'm talking about.
They put the what do they call it, the tasting notes right on the uncut and unfiltered also.
Oh yeah, okay, cool.
So that's cool.
So it's unfiltered too.
Oh, rich, full,
filtered.
balanced, with notes of caramel, toasted oak, rye, and malt. I get this sour apricot kind of note, like this
there's some
nice
sour type stone fruit going on there. It is a tiny bit malty, but I think I read just a few minutes before we started, Trenton, their mash bill consists of malted barley and malted rye.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
So
I did not look that up.
Yeah.
I read a couple sentences about pepper, and I'm a little tired, so I almost fell asleep. It was interesting. I'm going to go back and read
while
it.
you're reading. Well, we better hurry up and take a sip of this real quick.
That's why I don't read,
asleep.
because I yawn, and then my eyes get watery, and I do get irritated, so I just put the book down, and then I stop yawning.
As simple as that.
Books don't like when I read them. We'll just put it that way.
There is a nice brown sugar, a light brown sugar note in there too, as far as the sweetness, as far as I'm concerned. And then you're definitely right on that soured stone fruit, just a tiny bit of a sour note there, but in a nice way.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way.
It's wild too, because like some bottles will put tasty notes on the bottle, especially if it's like a store pick and stuff. And usually when I'm looking at it, I can kind of pull out some notes of what they're saying and everything. I don't really get much of anything that they're talking about on here. I mean, just on the nose at least.
Yeah.
I guess we haven't tried it yet,
Yeah.
but let's see what we got. Oh, that's delightful. Ooh.
I still got to get it done. I was enjoying it in there.
It's. I haven't eaten much today either, so it's like searing the sides of my
Yes. It is me too.
colon,
It is me too.
esophagus. That's the
your
word I'm looking
esophagus,
for.
not your colon.
No. It might later. It's got this like a dragon fruity type, or like a pomegranate, or some fruit that I've had before that isn't like an apple or banana or something.
All right, I saved this up on my phone here, what I looked on James E. Pepper website. And the mash bill, it says right here, the mash bill is consisting of corn, rye, malted barley, and malted rye. So there we go.
I think that malted really lends this.
It gets that depth going for me too. It gets a little bit of depth to the sip that gives you a little bit more interest to think about.
I'll say it's not It's like a nice oil. It's got a nice oiliness to it. It's not a. I think because I hear cask strength and I'm like, ooh, this is going to be like kind of heavy, like a little hefty. That isn't this. It drinks really nice though.
It does, and I was noticing when I first turned the glass, I mean, it was coming down a little bit slow, so it's not thin by any stretch.
Oh, the legs.
Think think it's super viscous either, but it's not thin by any stretch. I think it's pretty nice.
I need to do a blind or something, or just pull out some malted products and just smell them, because when I go back to this, I get something, and I don't know how to identify like a malt specifically. Yeah. So this to me is like a dampness, or like a basement. Well, no, not even like attic-y. There's a big difference between the attic and the basement when it gets moldy. Let me tell you that. But
I can see a little bit of that dankness that you're talking about a little bit, and I can't really draw the parallel with you between the basement and the attic.
You don't know the difference? One's above and one's below.
Yeah, okay, whatever. But I can tell a little bit of the dankness there a little bit, and I think, what is this, like 6 years old? I think something like that. So it has a decent age to it. I get a little bit of toffee in there, and I'm still getting a little bit of a fruit note in there. Just maybe that apricot shining through a little bit too.
I don't like regular apricots. I think it's because Mom used to get the dried ones, and I tried them and I just didn't like them very much. Also, this is non-age stated, but it's rumored to be 6 years old, since they opened in 2017. They're using the same mash bill, and this is their first like decanter release. Maybe it was in a press release or something that I just didn't read.
Now, you said yours didn't taste quite like this one, but yours has been open for a while. This one just got open. Yesterday, I think. I didn't have a sip of it, but it just got open yesterday.
Now, to be fair, when I was drinking mine, I was eating Sour Patch Kids beforehand. So mine had a lot more of this sourness to it, and I love that.
I am still getting that little bit of a sour arrival, Trenton. I am on the first sip. I definitely am. I'm getting a little bit of that. I'm getting a little bit of toffee, maybe even a hazelnut. There's some kind of something going on like that.
Nut husk.
Yes,
or something.
Yes, something like that. And maybe that has something to tie in with the malts that they use too for the rye and the malted barley. So I don't know, but for the money,
I'd buy it.
I think it's super solid.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah,
now, do I think it's worth do I think it's mind blowing and I'd pay $150 to get it if I found it somewhere? No, but I think it's well worth their price point.
It almost makes me want to shed a tear, being like, I'm proud. I'm glad that there is a newer distillery that had gone through previous tough times, and they're kind of revamping the name and kind of finding their place in a large industry as like a kind of smaller player. I don't think they're that large of a distillery, and being like, okay, we have all this historical context about our distillery. We have this juice. It's 6 years old. It's our first batch. We have this cool glass. It's a barrel strength thing. What should we price it at? And somebody in a conference room somewhere was probably like $65, $70. Love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I would honestly recommend this, not purely because of that, but I think this being a cask strength and at 106 proof, there's a lot of different audiences that I think this would appeal to. It's a little different, and this is honestly something, and I think I've said this before, when you drink something and you're like, I could sit down for an hour with this. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm not going to do that. But honestly, this is one of those where if you were to say that, I'd say, okay, I get that.
And I'm very curious to see how this opens up a little bit, a month or two down the road. I think it's only going to get a little bit better, and I'm pretty impressed just straight out of the neck. Yeah. So
if you see one,
I think it's pretty good.
I wish I knew the distribution a little bit more. Unfortunately, I don't. But if you see this, it's not just a gimmicky glass kind of thing. No. I don't think it's worth the price. It's not worth much more than the price. If you find it, somebody said I need to go get it to see the doctor because they think I have acid reflux or something. I probably do.
It's got to be something.
What do I get? The Prilosec? Is that the OTC?
Yep.
That one?
Prilosec.
That helps with that.
My buddy Dan takes it every day.
Michelle does. She tries to get me to take one because I think she's tired of me burping on her too. This is a really great bottle, honestly. Like probably the best new thing that I've had so far this year.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
So great job.
I'm hoping that we find more. I'm hoping we find through 2024. I hope we find more relatively. Oh, that's not the right word either. I was going to say relatively inexpensive, but great bottles that are worth the money. That it's fairly priced. That's what I'm looking for.
Something you buy and you try it, and you're not like, ooh, am I getting like a little buyer's remorse? Like
Right.
I opened this, I tried it, I was like, I'm very glad that I bought this.
Yeah.
More of that.
Yeah. All right, that's all we got for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great week, everybody. As always, we ask you to please drink responsibly. See you next time right down here. Yeah, that.
Yeah.
See you next time right down here with Trent and me in the good old basement bourbon bar. See you later.